This ancient sacred text, written thousands of years ago, has become a source of faith and a guide for life for millions of people. But what if there are strange details hidden between the lines, contradictory narratives, and events that are hard to explain? What if the Bible is not just a holy book, but also carries some of the greatest mysteries of history? In this video, we will explore numerous mysterious aspects, from miraculous stories to historical uncertainties, from sentences woven with symbols to shocking contradictions. Remember, what you'll hear here isn't just an interpretation. We are trying to bring to light the shadows that remain between the lines of thousands of years of texts. If you want to continue uncovering the unknowns behind sacred texts and dive deeper into history's darkest secrets in upcoming videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Now, open your eyes, because what we're about to share will open the doors to a completely different world. Part 1. Miracles and extraordinary events in the texts. As we wander through the lines of the Bible, we come across miracles that defy logic, events so extraordinary they challenge the very laws of nature. Imagine a man walking on water. Suddenly, the fundamental laws of nature are suspended, and physics, time, and even death are conquered. But the real question is, were these events truly experienced, or do they carry deeper meanings? For instance, feeding thousands with just a few fish and loaves of bread. This story may seem like a miracle on the surface, but when we dig deeper, could it symbolize more than physical nourishment? Perhaps these narratives were symbolic messages meant to inspire hope in the people of that time. And the resurrection of Lazarus, a man rising from the dead. The line between life and death becomes so blurred that one can't help but wonder, did it really happen? Or was it a belief that death could be overcome? Seeing these events only as miracles might mean missing the multi-layered nature of the Bible. Because every miracle is not just a display of divine power, but also a call full of profound metaphors. Now I invite you to step into a text that requires not just reading, but questioning. Because these miracles were not just told, but written to convey something. And perhaps the real secret lies in the very heart of those messages. Part 2. Contradictory narratives and textual inconsistencies. In the search for truth, sometimes the contradictions speak the loudest. For those who read the Bible carefully, the inconsistencies in the texts are details that may initially go unnoticed, but when examined deeply, they are quite striking. Sometimes the same event is recounted in 4 different ways, not just due to narrative style, but as reflections of historical and theological perspectives. For example, the genealogy of Jesus. Matthew's Gospel traces the lineage from David to Joseph, listing 42 generations. However, Luke's Gospel presents a completely different genealogy. Joseph's father's name is different, and there are 77 generations. Why such a discrepancy, even though they're referring to the same person? Another noticeable difference, the birth of Jesus. According to Matthew, Jesus was born during the reign of King Herod. However, according to Luke, the birth occurred during a census ordered by Caesar Augustus, which is after Herod's death. So, historically, these 2 narratives can't occur simultaneously. Even the death of Judas Iscariot is contradictory. Matthew says Judas regretted his actions and hanged himself. In the Acts of the Apostles, it's written that he fell in a field and his guts spilled out. 2 different death accounts for the same character. And perhaps the most striking, the events after the resurrection. Who went to the tomb? Was the tomb empty? Was there 1 angel or 2? After Jesus rose, where did he go? And who did he speak to? The answers to these questions differ in every gospel. All of these contradictions don't show that the text is flawed. On the contrary, They demonstrate how the different authors of the Bible shaped events according to their own societal context, belief perspectives, and purposes. This leads us to an important truth. Sacred texts are not just meant to be read, but to be thought about and questioned. Part 3: Symbolism and Cryptic Messages. Some messages are not shouted, but whispered, and only the attentive can hear them. One of the most striking aspects of the Bible is that it doesn't just tell events directly, it also opens the door to another world through messages hidden behind words. This sacred text is like a giant cipher book woven with symbols, layered with meanings, and filled with universal secrets hidden within metaphors. Let's start with the language of numbers. Some numbers in the Bible almost carry magical significance. The number 7 symbolizes divine completion. God creates the world in 6 days and rests on the 7th. In the book of Revelation, we see 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 stars. Each of these represents not physical events, but spiritual stages and cycles. The number 40 represents a period of testing and purification. Moses spends 40 days on Mount Sinai. Jesus is tested in the wilderness for 40 days. The flood lasts for 40 days. These recurring patterns are not just stories, they are a symbolic system, and it's not just numbers. Animals, objects, and even natural events carry symbolic meanings. The lamb represents Jesus, symbolizing innocence and sacrifice. The wolf usually represents danger or the misleading forces among believers. The shepherd symbolizes divine leadership, while blindness represents spiritual detachment. Jesus' parables, which may seem like simple folk tales, are actually a symbolic teaching system. Seeds, fig trees, and vineyards, each of them symbolizes a spiritual evolution. These narratives are a way of conveying truths that cannot be openly spoken, yet can be understood by everyone, though not everyone can solve them. And then comes the most controversial part, the book of Revelation. The 4 horsemen, the beast, the number 666. Are these just elements of fear or a cryptic resistance message against oppressive systems? Some scholars believe this part contains a message against the persecution of the Roman Empire. But it's so filled with symbols that each age can interpret it differently. The Bible should be read not just as a holy book, but as a collection of ciphers. Because some truths aren't meant to be stated plainly. They are conveyed through symbols, metaphors, and hidden within numbers. And to decode these messages, one must be more than just a reader. One must be someone with the courage to understand. Part 4. What was erased and censored in the Bible? Is the Bible only made up of what is written? Or were there once texts that were silently erased? Over the centuries, sacred texts have undergone countless edits. Some words were changed, some phrases retranslated. But the most notable alterations were the complete erasure or forgetting of certain teachings and narratives. But why? Who censored what? And for what purpose? Here are 2 striking and mysterious topics that were thought to have been erased from the Bible. 1. The doctrine of reincarnation, an alternative to eternal hell. Today's Christian belief completely rejects reincarnation. However, early Christian philosopher Origen believed that souls could be reborn and develop through multiple lifetimes. He argued that if a soul couldn't be purified in one life, it could be completed in the next. This view emphasizes individual salvation and was contrary to the Church's one-chance doctrine. That's why in the Council of 553, Origen's teachings were declared heretical. Along with him, the doctrine of reincarnation was removed from the Bible. So perhaps this once sacred teaching was part of the text, but it was erased due to the fear-inducing dogma of eternal hell. The lost years of Jesus, the journey behind the silence. The Bible details the birth of Jesus. We witness him speaking at the temple at the age of 12. And then there's an 18-year silence until he reaches the age of 30. These lost years have become a great mystery for modern scholars. Some theories suggest that during this time, Jesus traveled to the east, particularly to India and Tibet. There, he met spiritual leaders, learned different teachings, and returned to the West with a whole new perspective. These claims have always been rejected by the Church. But think, what if they were intentionally left out of the Bible? What if Jesus' story is not just that of a prophet, but of a spiritual leader who transcended cultures? These two examples suggest that the Bible may not only be a sacred text, but also a tool for control. The 4 parts we've explored about the unknown and censored aspects of the Bible are just the beginning. Every text, every teaching, and every lost piece carries a deep mystery. The secrets that have been lost over time may be hidden not only behind sacred books, but also in the darkest corners of world history. What other truths have we lost? What we've learned so far makes us question the meaning and origins of the Bible. But this journey doesn't end here. The truths are hidden in the dark, and every discovery will pull us deeper. Subscribe, because this is just the beginning. In upcoming episodes, we'll uncover the most mysterious secrets of history and forgotten teachings. Every piece of knowledge lost in the dark means we're taking one step deeper. Are you ready? Stay with us and join our journey. Stay scared,